Hello everybody, it's Scott Amato back for another video in my deep dive series on the mod Dooglamoo Cities for Minecraft. Now, we have made 15 episodes up to this point, and we have covered many of the blocks in the mod. And I've mainly stuck to just using the blocks in the mod without any externals beside the recommended chat spam thing, ClearSpam, which is turning out to be very good in use with Dooglamoo City, so I do recommend that. And so I'm going to put a link in the description of this video for it and subsequent videos from here out. All right, so what we want to do, though, is we want to branch out because the next blocks that we're going to do upcoming, the quarry and the textile and the craftsman, require more management, especially the quarry, because it brings in a lot of items that you're going to have to deal with in your warehouse. Okay, so we've looked at warehouses, how they work. We should have a basic understanding of how they work. Now let's try some advanced setups, and we're going to be using some other mods to do so. And I'm going to, in this first video, cover what I think is pretty much the ultimate setup. And it does require some learning on your part if you don't know any of these mods, but it's well worth it. And it is a modern setup, the modern way to store massive, nearly infinite amounts of items in Minecraft. And we're going to learn to tie that into Dooglamoo Cities. I'm excited. I hope you are. Let's take a look. All right, so what we have here is a vast amount of power in a very small space. And this is the refined storage system. You could do similar things with applied energistics too, but I do recommend refined storage, especially because it's just a simple crafting item that you just go through. You don't have to go through all of the creating of the crystals and all that kind of stuff, finding meteors and all that kind of stuff that you have to do with applied energistics. That's fun in and of itself, but you're going to be quite involved with play and doing stuff with the Dooglamoo Cities. So I recommend refined storage. So the simplest refined storage system that we can have here, and pretty much all we'll need at this point, is the refined storage controller, a crafting grid, just if you want to do some auto crafting and stuff like that. We'd need a pattern grid and stuff to set up for those. So it's not really auto crafting in the sense of automated crafting. It's doing crafting from what's in your storage. And then a disk drive. I just have one 64K. Could expand those out. Then I have the interface. Okay. Now I do also have this set up because this is the ultimate setup, guys. And I show this in many of my newest refined storage videos for 1.12.2, because now you can hook ProjectE, the transmutation table, up to refined storage and use it as all of the source of your items. All of your items that have EMC can now come into the refined storage system. So disks you can just use to put stuff that do not have EMC. I have quite a few videos on ProjectE. If you don't know the mod, then you can learn it on this channel. But this is not something you have to do, all right? But I'm going to do it because I think it's the ultimate thing, right? So the other thing we have is the very modern cables of XNet from the developer of RF Tools. XNet is extremely extensible. None of these cables are tile entities, so they do not tick and cause problems in your world. They are inexpensive enough to have huge networks and quite a few channels on each color here are available. And then there's the colors of Minecraft that are available. Plus you can bridge networks. It's a very advanced system. And it's quite different from most cables that you're going to run across. It can do liquid and energy and redstone signals logic and items all in one cable and power. It's just amazing. But it does require this controller, this XNet controller here. So that's what's different. And then on each item that you're going to connect to the network, you're going to have a connector. And then the remaining items are just cables. Now, in these connectors, you can name them. You want to know which item you're associated with here. And so when you see them here in this controller, you will see your whole network. So a large network will extend several pages down, and you'll need to keep up. Now, you can also take this block and double click, and I'll show you the block. Okay, I'm sorry, controller. I didn't mean that. Let's put you back down here. No problem. So it requires power, and I have a power bank here, just a creative one that's feeding the RF tool system and feeding the controller here. All right, luckily I didn't have anything set up there, or, you know, we would have to do it again anyway. Let's put that back. Now, I have iron chests from the Iron Chest mod. I have 4 of them, 1 in each area, and now I also have the shulker box from Iron Chests. And it works well too, and it is a more modern type way of doing it in the latest versions of Minecraft. So the cool factor is there. I like it, but you will have to have gone to the end to get that. But we'll play with it. It'll be fun. So basically, guys, what we're doing is we're going to do our regular warehouse type system, but we're going to exploit some of the properties of the warehouse block itself and use them to our advantage to feed them into this network. Now, you'll notice I have 4 nodes, and that is because the warehouse block covers an 8x8 area in a chunk, and you can have 4 of them in a chunk. Now, we won't really need all 4 of these, but I just want to show you that it's possible, and that's how you can do it. And of course, you could have any number of these types of nodes that you want off into other chunks in other places in your city. If you had a either a refined storage wireless node, or if you are using the ProjectE system, then you just build another one of these guys and hook up the transmutation table, and there's all your storage right there. You're not worried about transferring across disks or anything like that. It's all virtualized here in the EMC system. Okay, so that's pretty awesome in itself. You can save having to use tons of power in a wireless network, especially cross dimension and all that kind of stuff, by using this system as well. All right, so let's get a warehouse block here, and let's look at how this works. All right, now from our warehouse block, let's place it right here. You'll see there's the 8x8. You just need to be sure that one of the chests that you're going to address, in this case it's going to be a shulker box, is inside that 8x8 area. All right, and so again, we can have multiples along the edges here, and each one of these is just set up to address one of those nodes. Okay, that's the reason for the arrangement as such. Now, we have here, we need to keep in mind some properties of the warehouse. The warehouse looks for items in its chest in the area to know what to store, right? So there's nothing here at the moment, okay? But if, say, we put wheat, all right, wheat here in the chest. All right, now this warehouse says, I am a supplier of wheat. All right, I am looking for wheat out here in the world, and I am the endpoint for wheat. Any overflow of wheat comes to me and goes into the system here. Okay, now this system itself has no wheat. It only has nether stars, and nether stars is because of the ProjectE is what I used to get quite a few EMC, just a stack of nether stars. Okay, but if I put wheat here into the system, this is the same, I will say, of putting it on the disk drive at the moment. Now, one thing I do need to show you is that you want the priority, if you are using the ProjectE system, you want its priority to be higher than the disk, so that it will go here first, and it will only take items that have EMC values. EMC is listed in tooltip. It's 24 for this guy. Okay, so I just added wheat to the system here. So refined storage sees a nearly infinite amount of wheat, 9 million EMC worth of wheat, right? So pretty much infinite amount. Now, the exporter, the way to get it out is to use this interface, all right? And the interface is hooked up to the XNet network. None of the other parts of the refined storage system are hooked up to XNet, just an interface. And the reason is an interface acts in the 1.12.2 versions as an external chest. It's any inventory coming out. See, so if I hover over it here in my tooltip, I could see all the nether stars and the wheat, all right, inside of there. I see them in this interface because I have nothing configured for it right now. But let me put a stack of wheat here in the interface exporting area. And that's saying pull wheat to this area and export it. Now, I don't necessarily have to do that because it will see wheat inside the system, okay, from here. It'll see it. But I do want to show you that that is a thing that you could do. You could have wheat here on the outside. Now, you're limited in that case to the 9 slots that you have here, all right? But our goal is to get wheat over to here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to configure this XNet to get the wheat out of the refined storage system and push it over into the warehouse block, right? So in XNet, you're going to see that there's 8 channels available from a single controller. If you need more than 8 channels, then you'll need another network with the controller, and then you could bridge those together with a router. But we'll need 2 channels for what we're going to set up here. So we're going to edit channel 1, and we're going to set that to be an XNet item, okay, the type of item where it'll handle items. So we've created this channel here. We could name it, could set priorities on it and such. All right, here is our interface block, which is the block coming out of refined storage. Here's our shulker box, which is the one hooked to the warehouse. All right, so we want to export wheat out of the interface. So we'll create a new handler, basically, and choose export. That's insert and export here, insert or extract mode. Okay, we can leave all those as they are. And we really don't even need to put wheat here, but we will. We'll put wheat right there. Okay, and I have it in my thing. And then import is what we'll want to create for the shulker box. So an inserter right here, and we'll put wheat there, and then we'll tell it inside of here for this inserter to keep 8 in that inventory. To always be sure there's 8, and that'll help us exploit one of the properties of the warehouse. Now, the reason I didn't really need the wheat here is because it's configured there. So see, you could choose those 2 places. You could either configure it here, which filters this whole interface to only see a certain amount of items, which speeds it up a bit, okay? Because once you get a ton of items here in your network, then it's easier to speed this up by filtering it down to just a few items. It works the same way, though. Either one's going to do it, okay? So now it beat us to already having those items before we configured it. That's the reason you saw more than 64. Now it's looking at 8. Okay, well, technically 9, because again, it had that one over there. Let's just dump them all out and let it get its 8. All right, so it's keeping 8 in there according to our setting here, right? And this is the import or the export import side. So we would want to create another one that's the opposite of this, and I'll explain why in a moment. All right, let's think back on how the warehouse works. Now, the warehouse right now is its goal is to keep stacks filled within its own network, right? So if we have these 8 items here configured for wheat, then the warehouse block is going to try to get wheat from it at whatever source it can and to fill this stack out to give this 64 wheat. Okay, so if I have a distributor over here, let's say, okay, so I have a distributor, and I didn't set this stuff up beforehand because I wanted you to see it, so this will be a longer video because I've set this stuff up as we go. All right, so here is the distributor, and the distributor is going to have wheat in it. Its goal, again, as you have, if you've been following the series, is to fill these stacks of wheat from wherever it can get them. So if there's a farm, that's where the wheat comes from. It's going to fill out those stacks, and if you have multiple stacks like that, it's going to try to fill up those 5 stacks, getting them from the farm. That's very crucial, and I have videos that cover that in detail. But okay, so we have 60 inside of here now, and nobody's asking for wheat. Wheat is an end product, so it needs someplace to go, and so it will go into the warehouse, right? But because we've put 8 here, this warehouse pulls in 8 at a time, and it does it twice a day, all right, in an update. That's why we have this set to 8. Number one, because the warehouse will always try to fill this. We've kept this to always be 8 coming out of the system, all right? And so we'll want to set a new channel that says an import channel, all right? This is a channel that is exporting from the system and importing into the shulker box. Now we're going to want something that exports out of the shulker box and goes into the system. Okay, the distributor, I didn't give him any food. Poor guy. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to. I know you're hungry block. Yeah, let's just give it a few potatoes. You do have to have food for them. If you have a farmer, something set up, it's no biggie. All right, there we go. He warned me. Then he just gave up the ghost. All right, so let's go ahead and let that update happen so we can see it. We'll monitor it here. So I'm going to set my tick rate to 100, and we'll watch it happen here. It happens twice a day from the warehouse. The warehouse will be calling to the distributor. The distributor will be giving what's needed to fill out the rest of this stack. Okay, is how it should work. As far as the XNet and refined storage is concerned, its only goal is to keep 8 in here. That's all it's doing, is being sure that this guy always has 8. All right, so let's let these updates happen. Should happen any moment. Come on. Did I put the wheat? I put wheat back in, right? Yeah. You got wheat. Okay. It'll work. This takes a little time. All right, there we go. So we had one update. Again, it does 8 at a time. And that's why basically I always keep 8, just so I can kind of balance out that property of what we need. Okay. You need to keep some in there, more than one. But anyway, that'll keep going. Interesting. I don't know if the shulker box shut. Whatever. Okay, so it's done 2 update cycles now, or just one, I suppose. Putting a distributor down, get out of my way. Oh, my shulker box won't shut. So that's a thing. You could just put that down again. You lose nothing. The connector's still there, what have you. But okay, my tick rate thing screwed with the shulker box. Not a biggie. I'll put the wheat back over here. Okay, so let's go now and create our other channel. The other channel is when we need to provide wheat to the external world, which we won't need to do. Nothing else will need wheat on the external world, but I'll just show you how to do it, and that one block can handle it, right? So remember, to do that, we would have wheat in this guy right here, And its goal then would always be to keep a stack here available that other items could draw from, like the distributor here. So at this point, it's kind of a loop where the distributor is kind of going back and forth between pulling itself to keep itself full and then being sure that extra wheat goes back into the system over there. So it's kind of a two-way system now. Each one of these is now a two-way communication. However, we don't have it truly two-way yet because we haven't configured the channel here to do it. So we're going to need to create a new channel, and it's going to be an item channel, right? And again, we could name it what we want. Now you can see these turn green when there's a channel, right? And so we're going to create here, and we're going to leave it at insert. Insert is fine for that. We can leave all this as it is, opposite of what that first one is. And then we'll create one there to be the opposite of it. And then we'll put a amount to keep in the destination inventory. Okay, and we'll put our wheat right there. So what that's saying is export from the shulker box, but always keep 8. That way we just don't have a loop going back and forth and back and forth. These kind of keep each other with the same setting. And this guy, again, we've configured it here just to limit its exposure of what it's seeing, because we could have tens of thousands of items in here. We're just limiting its exposure. So this will always keep 8. This guy will try to pull from there to fill out its stack. So let's watch that. See if that happens. And again, it's twice a day, so it takes a little while for it to update. But let's let that happen. And you can see that from our first updates that the shulker boxes work just fine. It's not a problem. So we would basically want to reproduce that same thing that we've done, just with different items. So if you wanted, beef and chicken and what have you, wood, saplings, you would do the same thing, okay, but you would just do it up to the limit of the limit is these 27 slots if you're going to do an exporting. If you're just doing an importing, then the limit here is these. There was the update. You saw it go back and forth. So it pushed them out to there, okay, and that just pushed them to the distributor over here to fill its stack, because the distributor is now looking to keep these 2 full stacks, and this guy's going to provide it. So it just got pushed again. You just saw it over to here. So it filled out that stack. So that guy's happy on that first one. And then he's looking for more here. And then it keeps it right there. So that's basically how you could keep everyone happy moving back and forth by, again, exploiting the properties of how this guy goes, of being sure to always keep at least 8 in here so it's hungry for more. That's the important thing. It's hungry for more. It's asking for more. But then this guy here, having 1, is always wanting more up to its stack to push out somewhere if somebody else needs it. But that's our technique. And because it transfers 8 at a time, it's kind of just easier just to keep 8 inside of there. So you can see that works seamlessly. Let me, we've gone through several updates now. So we're just pulling infinite amounts of wheat out of this system. So of course it would vary your availability of items if you were using a disk system. But when wheat comes into here, the way that it's set up right now, we would be gathering EMC. So that's basically what would be happening. We would be increasing our EMC values. See, you could see that happening right there. Actually, it probably went down at that point. Go up. Yeah, it is going down because there is no source of new wheat coming in. So see, it's pulling it from the EMC system. So EMC is decrementing, basically. Okay, so it's a pretty simple setup, when you actually put it into practice. And again, you could have multiple warehouses configured to handle multiple things if you needed more than the number of slots that you had available to you, which, my goodness, if you're using the iron chests even, you could put diamond chests here. I mean, you're not really going to do that, but sometimes it helps to keep things separate from each other so you know this is my produce, meat and vegetables. This is my ores and resources. This is my wood, plant materials, that kind of thing. Maybe you want to do that. These are my final factory products, whatever, there's ways to organize it. But anyway, that's the basics of it, the basics of the advanced stuff. We will get into more of it. We need to get into more of it as we'll continue to grow out this series in our city. We start to actually put some buildings to work and use them in the city. And I hope you'll stay tuned for that. And please let me know if you're enjoying this series. If this was a good addition to the series, then hit that like button and look for future upcoming videos. Anyway, this is SkydoModo, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Questions, comments, feedback, ideas, all appreciated and suggested. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.